Full disclosure, this video is being recorded on Saturday, July 11th, 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, that means that the information in this video is only accurate up to this point, and I am uploading this at 12 p.m. July 12th, Pacific Standard Time as well, meaning that there could be potentially more names that could have been on a list like this. It's just, I'm making this the night before, so I can't tell the future. Let's talk today about the few NHL players who, so far, have opted out of the 2020 play-in series and or the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs thus far. We have this article over here from TSN talking about a few of these players already. It kicks off with Karl Alzner, a defenseman in the Montreal Canadiens system, whom the Montreal Canadiens have announced is not going to play. He spent the majority of his last 2 seasons with the AHL team, the Laval Rocket, and he has played 4 games with the Habs this season. Karl Alzner, though, is kind of somebody who... you know what? I don't want to use any offensive language. Let's just say that Karl Alzner is to Montreal Canadiens fans what Louis Eriksson roughly is to Vancouver Canucks fans. Alzner was signed to the Montreal Canadiens 3 seasons ago in 2017, and he has an AAV of $4.625 million. After playing almost 10 years in the Washington Capitals system, where he was a legitimately good defensive defenseman, a guy who could load up on the PK, block some shots, make some hits, not really produce on the score sheet all too much, but could be a presence that your team valued from having. It's just, when he was with the Habs, he started turning over the puck a little bit more, and he started being on the ice for a lot more goals against. And all of a sudden, it didn't take long for that $4.625 million contract to kind of look a little bit worse than it really was. I say this with the utmost respect, but I'm not really too sure if Montreal Canadiens fans losing out on Karl Alzner would be too disappointed with this. I mean, if you're on Team Tank, maybe so. If anything, Alzner isn't necessarily a player I think the Canadiens would win with per se, so him opting out for his own safety, which is understandable, doesn't really seem like the biggest piece of a hit that it could be to the Montreal Canadiens organization, at least against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Next up on this TSN article, it is Steven Kampfer of the Boston Bruins. He was with the Boston Bruins a long time ago in like 2009, 2010. He was a scratch, an extra on the Boston Bruins team that won the Stanley Cup in 2011, but he has mostly just been a tweener between the AHL and the NHL time in and time out. He played 3 games with the Bruins last season after returning to the Boston organization against the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs, where he scored a pretty nice goal, but now in 2020, he has confirmed that he will be opting out of the return to play program. He says this: after speaking with my wife, family, and my agent, I have decided that I am opting out of the return to play. With the statement he made on his Twitter account, this was one of the hardest decisions I have ever had to make. My wife and son have a congenital heart defect, which can cause complications with the virus. We have taken this very seriously, and family will always be my priority. That's respectable, man. He's got a family. He wants to make sure that they do their best to keep things safe and locked down. And if that means not participating in the play-in series, then hey, you do what you gotta do to protect the ones that you love. So I totally understand that from the perspective of Steven Kampfer. It's actually been a really positive reception. It seems like a lot of Boston Bruins fans really love this guy because of his overall path and his journey. The fact that he was here with the Bruins 10 years ago, he left the organization, and then he came back, and now he's with them again. It's certainly inspiring to see, and obviously, it's not surprising to me to see Bruins fans step up in support for Kampfer and his decision. We also have ourselves Mike Green, who informed the Oilers that he will be opting out of the return-to-play format as well. Due to uncertainties surrounding the virus and after much consideration, I've decided, for deeply personal family health reasons, not to participate in the return-to-play. This has been a hard decision, knowing I'm going to miss the opportunity to compete in the playoffs with a Stanley Cup contender. I wish the best of luck to the guys, and I appreciate the Oilers' support. Now, this situation right here is kind of indicative of how unfortunate this whole pandemic really was. The Edmonton Oilers acquired Mike Green from the Detroit Red Wings at the trade deadline. He had been with Detroit for the past 5 seasons, and he was honestly a pretty good power play quarterback with Detroit in his early years. It's just the most previous season of play, where Detroit was really, really bad, saw Mike Green's production also go out the window as well. Who once was a 30-goal, 70-point scorer with the Washington Capitals 10 years ago, all of a sudden became an 11-point D-man in 48 games with the struggling Red Wings team. It's why the Oilers ended up offering Kyle Brodziak and a conditional draft pick for the 34-year-old defenseman. It's unfortunate because he only played 2 games with the Oilers this entire season, and now we may not even be seeing him suiting up in the blue, orange, and white anytime soon because his contract expires this upcoming offseason. Of course, because the beer bug is the way the beer bug was, we could not have predicted this in the slightest. It's just really unfortunate to see how things have played out, and taking a look at how they could play out in the future with a situation like this. Next up on the list is Roman Polak, who we've already made a video about. We've actually talked about the Polak situation, how he said that he really was feeling unengaged with playing NHL hockey, and how he really wanted to go home to the Czech Republic. He already signed a contract and is foreseeably going to go back over there for the next season, and as a result, he had told reporters that he's not planning on returning to the NHL if play does resume. Again, we talked about this in the video before. He was really uncertain and he didn't want to play again, so you can check out that video for that situation if you want. Roman Polak, though, as an NHL veteran, a guy with 806 NHL games played. Not too sure if he's going to be sorely missed on the Dallas Stars blue line. We do know that the Stars are going to be competitive this upcoming playoffs. They're already guaranteed to be in the final 16 because their point percentage was top 4 in the West. None of this play-in series stuff is going on in Dallas. They can go straight into the playoffs. So with a move like this where Polak is going to be out, it makes room for Thomas Harley, who was drafted in the first round of the 2019 draft, to come onto the Dallas Stars roster and see if he can make a difference. I don't know if he's actually going to suit up, but hey, you know, getting that exposure, playing with the team, in practices at least, certainly wouldn't be a bad thing for his development, in my opinion. Next up in this article, it's Sven Baertschi, Vancouver Canucks guy. Yeah, I know, this kinda does sting a little bit, but at the same time, there's nothing but respect for me going out to Sven Baertschi, the things that he has done with this organization, all the concussions he has faced, all the injustice he has had on the ice, the fact that he wasn't really able to fit into the Canucks top 6 anymore despite being a player who I would personally consider to be a legitimate NHL forward. He decided to opt out. Jim Benning came out here and said it was a difficult decision, but ultimately one that we respect and understand. Sven Baertschi does have a year or 2 left on that contract that is $3-something million, so we will see what happens with him. The Canucks are using this opportunity to call up Cole Lind, who is a prospect they took in the 2017 NHL entry draft. Yes, the whole meme, why isn't anyone taking Cole Lind? That was a funny moment, but now with all of the improvements that he has made, and trust me, he has made some improvements, we'll be making a video about that later in the week, I hope. We'll be looking forward to seeing what Cole Lind can bring. I personally hope he does bring a lot. Next up, it's Travis Hamonic. He was actually the first guy to officially opt out of the NHL's return to play, and in a statement he says, "Due to what my daughter has already gone through and the concerns if she were to catch the virus, I have decided to opt out and seek a leave of absence from the Calgary Flames for the remainder of the playoffs." He says, "I wish I could lace up my skates and be out there battling, blocking a shot, and helping the team win, but my family has and always will come first. Being my little kid's dad every day is the most important job I have. I love this game and my team. This is a decision that is extremely hard for me to make. I wish my teammates the best of luck and good health. I look forward to joining the Sea of Red, the greatest fans in the NHL, in cheering on my teammates as they chase the opportunity to bring the Stanley Cup home to Calgary." Now, if that is not a beautiful statement, then I don't know what is. Again, mega respect to all the guys who are putting their family first in this kind of situation. You definitely do like to see that form of responsibility here. And I can totally understand it too. So Travis Hamonic, Calgary Flames defenseman, is also going to go out. We also have a few other absences here as well. Zach Trotman was held out by the club for medical reasons. He's a Pittsburgh Penguins defenseman. And Lias Andersson from the New York Rangers, they tried to bring him back. We already talked about this in a few videos, but he already said, no, I'm not coming back to the NHL if it's with the New York Rangers. So there most likely will be a trade sometime down the line if a team is willing to take on the Lias Andersson thing. But for now, it looks like he is not going to come back, especially not with the New York Rangers, even though they wanted him to come back as well. So we will be making a few more videos like this, I guess, as the news comes out, as more players start opting out. But for now, these are the guys we have: Hamonic, Baertschi, Green, Kampfer, Alzner, Polak, Andersson, also Trotman. So comment down below what you think. Do you think more players are going to opt out? Because in my opinion, this is just the first wave. We're going to see more of these guys deciding to stay at home, and in my opinion, it's kind of inevitable. But tell me what you think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99, and bye.